All right, Shalom. Before I begin, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash. I'd like to give double honors to my teachers, the apostles, and the elders and bishops of Great Millstone, the men whom I've learned this truth from. And I would like to also say Shalom to the elect, the fellow brothers that are out there laboring in this work as well. So I'm the brother Shaquat from the branch of Great Millstone Montreal, back with another lesson. And this lesson that I'm going to be getting into is inspired by a video that the elder Apostle Tahar did. And the video, was his most recent one. And the title of it was Don't Tell Your Woman She's an Israelite, right? And I watched about 3 minutes of that video, and an inspiration for a lesson sparked in me, right? So, like the title said, don't tell your woman that she's an Israelite, and that's true, and that could be any woman, whether she's a heathen or she is an Israelite. Women are not supposed to really know about the truth for the most part, We do have believing sisters, right? But as far as you, and I'm speaking to myself, right? First and foremost, if I, get a woman, it's best that she does not know that I am in the truth, right? And that's wisdom, because this truth is something that's heavy, for someone of the world to bear, man. If it's not for you, this truth can bug you out, right? So it's best to, like the elder Apostle Tahar's advices, it's best to just play Clark Kent with the woman that you deal with. Act clueless. Act like you don't even know the truth. All right? And, most importantly, this truth ultimately is not for women to handle. And what do I mean by that? This truth is not for women to teach, to know, really, not to know. Because to know this truth, once you know it, you're really supposed to teach it. But that's not the lot that the Lord instructed women to fulfill. That lot was really for the men, that teaching lot. Matter of fact, let me get a precept real quick. Proverbs 8 and verse 4, it says, "Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men," right? So the Lord is looking for men to, to handle this truth, this business, to further and advance this business, right? It's a manly business, man. It's a manly job, and it requires the spirit of a man to be able to sustain and handle this truth. It's not for women, man, because what do the scriptures say about a woman? Scriptures say that the woman is the weaker vessel. Meaning there's a distinction between man and woman. They're not equal, right? A woman is weaker than a man. And that's on all aspects, man, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Women are weaker, and this truth, right, is one of the strongest things. It is the strongest thing that's out there, It's strong for the spirit, It's heavy, man, to bear. You know, that's why the Apostle John mentioned, roughly paraphrasing, he said, it is sweet and it's bitter. You know, at first it's sweet, but then it's bitter. But your stomach has to be built a particular way to be able to digest the truth. You know, both the sweet and the bitter. You know, and the bitter, it gets really bitter, right? But nonetheless, the woman is the weaker vessel, and it's not for them to further and advance the ministry of our Lord Yahushua. You know, it's for the men. You know, so this is Titus First Timothy, chapter 2 and verse 9. It says, in like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array. Right. So what we're going into is how a godly woman should conduct herself. Right. So she's supposed to be adorned in modest apparel, meaning appropriate clothing, right? Not out here dressed like a hoe, you know, because how is a hoe dressed like a whore? You know, she has her titties showing, an abnormal amount of makeup on her face. She has her ass showing, and she has her pussy showing, man, her camel toe. You know, if you are a godly woman and you know this truth, you are not supposed to conduct yourself like a whore. You're supposed to be modest, right? Especially, you know, if you know the truth, man. It says with shamefacedness, right? And I believe if you go into that word shamefacedness, it means humble, man. Matter of fact, let's look it up real quick. Shamefacedness in the Greek is
Strong's G 127, eidos,
eidos.
eidos.
Eidos. Shamefacedness, it says. Perhaps bashfulness, through the idea of downcast eyes towards bashfulness, i.e., towards men, modesty, or towards the Most High, awe, reverence, right? You know, so downcast eyes, meaning you're humble, man. You're not proud looking at a man in his eyes, man. You know, because in today's society, that's something that's on the spirit of these women heavily, man. Pride, you know. But if you know this truth, you're not supposed to carry yourself that way. You're supposed to be humble towards your man and towards the Most High and those around you, right? Because those are feminine traits. You know, a woman that barely looks at you in the eye, you know, and her head is hanging to a certain degree, you know, her head is bowed. That's something that would turn a man on, man. That feminine nature of a woman, man. You know, because it's for a man to look somebody in the eyes. That's a manly thing. You know. Let's see this a bit more. Right, a sense of shame. Right, and you know what sense of shame? The sense that you're the weaker vessel, man. You're ashamed that you're the weaker vessel, and you accept it, man. You know, you acknowledge that you're the weaker vessel. That's a sense of shame, you know, or honor, modesty. Oh, let's look up that word, honor. Let me see real quick. Honor, high respect, great esteem, adherence. Honor is a quality of a person that is of both social teaching and personal ethnos that manifests itself as a code of conduct and has various okay. modesty, bashfulness, reverence, regard for others, respect. Right. So let's go back. It's a lot. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, right? Supposed to be sober, you know, not drunk all the time. You know, a woman is really not supposed to be drunk like that, you know? It says, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array, right? You know, and that's those are things that a woman would put on if she wants to draw attention towards herself. And whores, you know, do that. They browed their hair, put gold, wear gold and pearls and costly array. Why? Because they want that attention. But if you're a godly woman, you're not supposed to carry yourself that way. Verse 10, but which becometh woman professing godliness with good works. Right. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. Right. So like I mentioned earlier in the lesson, it is not for women to handle the truth, right? And it's not for them to teach. You know, so, you know, these woman pastors today, they're going off, man. Why did they skip through Timothy, the 2nd chapter, man? Did they, you know? Because that's a vice. Why? Because a woman is unstable. But a man is stability, right? And verse 13, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. Right? So that's the lot of a woman. Right? That's her purpose. You know, she's supposed to believe in the truth, right? Contribute, you know, by being charitable, right? And if she does that, you know, which the charity part, it's a show of her faith, right? You know, and if she has that mindset and continues and doesn't try to teach and usurp authority over the man, then she'll be saved, man, and she'll be saved through childbearing, right? Through having a child of one of the prophets, you know, or so on and so forth. All right. So let's jump from there to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 1, right? How it's supposed to be, or accounts of, you know, what and how you should act if you have a woman, right? Whether she believes or whether she doesn't believe, you know. Right, and something else the Elder Apostle Tahar mentioned in his video is that, hey, if you have a woman, right, and she has questions about the truth, well, you can answer those questions to a certain degree, you know, using wisdom. But his advice was that, yo, you don't tell them about the truth. You don't put everything, you know, on them. Like, I believe in this, I believe in that. Yeah, do you know the Lord? You know, you just open your mouth, man. That's not good, right? 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 1, it says, now concerning the things whereof he wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman, right? And why is Paul giving this advice? It's because, you know, woman ultimately is a distraction, right? Verse 7, verse 2, it says, not, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband, right? And that word fornication simply translates to adultery, right? To avoid adultery, let everybody have his own woman and his own wife, and a woman should have her own husband, right? In the church. Verse 3, let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife, right? So what is that going into? That's going into the sexual desire of a man and a woman, right? If you guys are together, you're not supposed to, basically hold away from, refrain from your partner, man. You're not supposed to say, yo, I'm not doing this to, I'm not getting intimate with you because I don't want to. I don't feel like it. That's not how it's supposed to be, right? Because the definition of marriage, right? It says in the Zondervan, if I can remember it correctly, roughly paraphrasing, it says marriage is something that's continually nourished through sexual intercourse, something like that, but it's maintained. A marriage is maintained through intimacy, right? So a husband shouldn't not want to fulfill or when your woman is horny, you get on that, simplify it. And woman, when your man's horny, she gets on it, you do that. You guys don't hold it off from each other, simply. Verse 5, it says, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that you may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, right? So the only way you don't get on that, so to speak, is that, if you guys come to an agreement because you're fasting and you're praying, right, for a period of time. It says, and come together again, but you got to come back together, you got to go into each other again. It says that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency, but I speak this by permission and not of commandment. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man hath his own proper gift of the Most High, one after this manner and another after that, right? So Paul was saying, I wish everybody could be like me and not have a woman, not deal with women at all. But he also understood that everybody's different. Everybody has their gift from the Most High. It is the Most High's gift for some people to have one woman, and the Most High's gift is for somebody to have no woman. Or it is the Most High's gift for somebody to have two women, but everybody's different. Paul understood that. Verse 8, and I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I, right? So if you have a woman, it's best for you not even to have one. If you're already alone, it's best to be alone, right? Verse 9, but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn, right? But if you cannot be disciplined enough to stay alone and you burn a lot, it's better to just quench that fire by marrying, man, by dealing with a woman, right? Verse 10, but unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband, right? But if you're ultimately married, if you're already married, if a woman is, is already dealing with a man, she shouldn't leave that man. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife, right? But if she leaves, she has to remain unmarried, meaning she can't have sexual intercourse with another man. She can't deal with somebody else. The only way she could deal with or have sex again is if she gets reconciled or she comes back to her husband. And it says the husband shouldn't put away his wife, right? Verse 12, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with them, let him not put her away, right? So if you find a girl and she don't really believe in the truth, you might have told her something. She might have saw, a Bible in your room. You ask her, or she asks you, yo, what's all that about? What do you believe? Are you religious? And you tell her a little bit, but she doesn't really believe in it. But if she likes you and she's willing to stay with you, but she doesn't believe, then she can stay with you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what Paul is saying. Verse 13, and the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him, right? So vice versa. And if if a woman is in the faith, is in the truth, but her husband doesn't believe, but he knows about it, but he still wants to stay with her, then the woman should stay with that man, right? Verse 14, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy, right? So, the believing husband will save the unbelieving wife, right? That's what that means, and vice versa. Verse 15, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but the Most High hath called us to peace. That's right. But if those that you're dealing with a woman, right, and she knows about the truth, she knows that you're in the truth, but she doesn't believe and she wants to leave, you let her leave, man. That's all it is. And vice versa with a woman that believes and a husband that doesn't believe. Amen. So that's the lesson, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to say, call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Kakadash. Once again, double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom and salutations to the elect.